Hello, my name is Felicity and I work at the University of Manchester in the Student Recruitment and Widening Participation team. I ran a webinar for my team earlier today on working from home and wellbeing during the unprecedented times we're living through, and quite a few people said that they would find it useful to see shared publicly, so your wish is my command, and I really hope that this is something that people find useful and can get a few tips from. So the context that I'm coming from is I have been working from home for 1 day a week for the past year and thought that I had a few useful things to share with people who are transitioning from working to working from home full time, which is a big shift for all of us. In terms of the wellbeing side of things, full disclaimer, I'm not a medical practitioner, so if you have any concerns, obviously please do seek the help that you need. But I can share from my own experience things that I have done that help me when times are tough, as they are now, to get through things. So my normal working pattern, as I say, has been very much a 9 to 5 office-based job. I work from an office on campus 4 days a week and 1 day a week from home. That 1 day a week from home is still very much keeping pace with the 9 to 5 office culture, or 8 to 4, or whatever most of us do. And we're transitioning to quite a different time now. So I'll share what's helped me in my way of working so far, but we all know that things are going to change. The other context that I wanted to set is just to acknowledge how unknown everything is. I know it's unsettling for all of us that the people we would normally go to for answers simply don't have them. And that's unsettling for them too. So I would normally have a one-to-one meeting with my line manager every 2 weeks. We catch up, we check the direction my work's going in, I can get the answers that I need, and now there aren't any answers, and that's hugely unsettling. And I think it's important that we all just acknowledge that that's the case and work within that context. So on to some tips for working from home. Structure is really important. I'm a structurer, a planner, naturally, that's how I work. Before my working from home day usually, and what I'll do going forward, is the day before I log off, I just write myself out a plan for the day so that I'm not coming to a total blank sheet of paper. Normally, like most people, I'd have a commute during which I think myself into the day. On the train, I'll be thinking about the tasks ahead and going through them and preparing myself. We don't have that now. So having taken that time the day before means I don't have time to wonder and worry when I start work for the day. I just know already what I'm going to do. Another thing that I certainly had to do yesterday, and that I've done in times of stress before, is breaking your day down into manageable chunks. And by manageable chunks, I'm talking half an hour at a time. So yesterday, the first full working from home day for we don't know how long, I found myself just sitting, staring at my computer thinking, I don't like this. I feel frightened. I don't really know what's happening. And I just felt overwhelmed. So I did what I've done before. I knew overall what I had to get done that day. But in terms of taking it step by step, I just did it half an hour at a time because that seems more achievable. So I set myself the task of doing something for 30 minutes and then another 30 minutes and so on until before you know it, you've made it to lunch, you have a break for lunch, and then you come back again. Before you know it, you've got through the day. So having structure overall and breaking it into small chunks when you need it is a really big tip. Another thing is taking breaks. And this is about transitioning to a different way of working. So if you were in a big buzzy office environment like I am, throughout the day I'll pop into the kitchen, make a cup of coffee, pass a time of day with a colleague, catch up with them about something, talk about what we watched on Netflix last night, that kind of thing. We don't have that now. So you might well find your mind wandering, and that's okay. That's very normal. We're human. So take 10 minutes out, go outside while we still can, make yourself a cup of tea, I'd normally say just browse through the news headlines, but I don't recommend doing that at the moment to relax. But just do whatever you need to do to take the time out, refocus your mind and come back and carry on. What you don't then need to do is think that you need to add 15 minutes back on to the end of your working day. That's part and parcel of what you're doing to get yourself through your working day. So take the breaks you need and don't guilt yourself about doing that. Just do whatever works. The other thing is setting up a good space to be able to work in. Now I'm lucky, I have a study in my house, a room that I can set aside and that I only use to work in, and that's where I'm sitting now. But a lot of people won't have that space. I know in our team we were sharing pictures with each other yesterday of just the spaces we'd set up, and for a lot of people that's at the end of the kitchen table or a spot in the living room or dressing table in your bedroom or your spare room, something like that. Wherever it is, if it's somewhere that you'll use for other things during the day, like to eat, I think a big suggestion will be for you to close away your work stuff at the end of the day, to really make a good full stop between your working day and your leisure, because we're all suddenly going to be spending a lot more time at home in the same space. So that act of closing down your laptop lid, putting it away, and then moving to the next phase of your day will be really important, so that work doesn't become something that you talk about and think about all the time. If you can avoid it, don't work in your bedroom, because you might start to struggle to sleep if you're using your bedroom as a workspace as well. But of course, for some people that's unavoidable. So in that case, as I say, move your work stuff away at the end of the day. Another thing that we talked about in our team webinar earlier was replacing the commute. For me, the commute's a part of my day that I really enjoy, and there's a good chunk of walking in it. So if that's the case for you as well, or even if it isn't, make some time where you get out and about and do a bit of exercise before work. So go for a quick walk or a bike ride or a run or a walk round the block, just something to move from the waking up, getting your breakfast and so on into the working phase of the day. So that summarises what I had to say about working from home. Hopefully that's been useful. I'll now say a bit about well-being. The first and a really key thing about well-being is that for me, I have always found managing your well-being to be an active state. There are lots of times in which we do feel sad and we do struggle and we do feel overwhelmed. I'm certainly experiencing all those emotions at the moment. We all are. Everyone is feeling that. But you can choose how you react to things throughout the day. If you decide that this is going to be the most frightening and difficult time you've ever lived through, it's going to be. But we can also try and make the best of it and see good things. When we talked about this earlier, one of the team said an opportunity for her is that if you had asked her this time last year what single thing would improve the quality of her life, it would have been spending more time with her husband and their young child. Well, she's got that now in abundance. Same for me. I've been thinking, since a lot of the things I would usually do aren't happening. I was training for the London Marathon, that's been postponed. I suddenly have a lot more free time. And certainly whilst we can get out and about, and even if we can't over Skype, I'll have a lot more time to spend talking with family and friends, and that's a really exciting thing, and that's something that this situation has given us. So really try, even though it's very difficult, to have a positive frame of mind, to get out of bed in the morning, make yourself smile, make yourself think positively, and that really will help to lift your spirits. And that's something that we'll all have to probably sometimes force ourselves to do in the time to come. But if you look out to find the positives, you will start to see them. On to some more practical points. There are 3 fundamental pillars of well-being, if you like, that are easy to overlook And so often people don't have these things in place and start to feel bad. They are sleep, good food and exercise. Absolutely fundamental. And if you get those in place, you're off to a good start. So sleep is going to be tricky if you have young children. Of course it is. I know I myself, in the last few days, I've been working very, very early, shortly after 4 a.m, just because I'm so anxious. But I have started to manage that by going to bed earlier as well, for as long as that lasts. But good sleep, if you can, is key. The other thing is good food. We all know we are what we eat. Now, another thing that we've got more of at the moment is time. We've got more time to cook from scratch and to cook healthily. There are lots of things, if you have a look, in terms of cooking from store cupboard recipes, which I know a lot of us are going to be eking out. A lot of useful resources in terms of cheap recipes as well, because for a lot of people money is going to become a real challenge. But we can take the time now to cook well. And exercise. So for some people that's running a marathon. For most people it's walking around the block. It is so easy from working from home. I know this in my one day I work from home, to just stay indoors, particularly when it's rainy. But actually yesterday, on the first working from home day, it was absolutely pouring it down here first thing. I put on my waterproofs and I went out for a walk, and I did feel a lot better for it. So do take the time to structure that into your day. I know, talking to a lot of friends and colleagues with kids, I know that is challenging. So people are tag teaming with their partner, just to make sure that you have that space for yourself to get some kind of exercise. The other thing to mention is alcohol. Now, I'm not going to lie, I chugged a big glass of wine down yesterday at the end of that first day. But I'm really going to watch myself in terms of not letting that become a daily habit. I enjoy a good drink. It helps me relax, but it is only temporary. And I think we all need to watch ourselves in terms of not letting that become a daily habit, because it doesn't make you feel better in the long term. Moving on from that, hydration. I've actually become a bit dehydrated already the last couple of days, because normally for me at work, going to get a glass of water is a good screen break or whatever, classic water cooler conversation. I don't have that now. I'm just in my comfortable, cosy study. That's another really fundamental thing to get right. The other thing to mention is having a good support network. I'm incredibly lucky where I work. I have just the best team. We all get on really well, and we've been on WhatsApp, on Microsoft Teams, on any platform you can think of, just chatting to each other, checking in with each other, making sure we're okay. But locally as well. Now's the time, if you don't know a lot of people close to where you live, now's the time to reach out and make those connections, because we're really going to need them. Most local communities have had Facebook groups springing up over the past couple of weeks in terms of initiatives you can get involved in to help, volunteer, befriend, do shopping for people who are self-isolating. So now is a fantastic opportunity to make those connections and get involved, because we don't know how long this is going to go on for, and we don't know whether we're going to be quarantined to more of an extent. So virtually, in work and locally as well, support networks really are going to be key. I've noticed in sort of WhatsApp conversations that I've been having over the past few days, people are being really honest with each other, which I think is really important, saying, I'm struggling, I don't know what I'm going to do. My instinct can often be to help, but that's not always the most helpful thing, because I can't always help, but I can just acknowledge it and say, yeah, me too. So being really honest about how you feel with someone, and acknowledging someone when they say that, helping if you can, will be really important. Another thing as well to say about managing negative and intrusive thoughts, again, just to emphasise, I'm not a medical professional. Do seek help for this if you need. But I can tend towards this sometimes. The really important thing is to acknowledge that we all feel anxious, we all feel stressed. That's going to come in peaks and troughs, up and down. It's going to hit us sometimes more than at others. The worst thing you can do is just say, oh, I just need to pull myself together. Okay, sometimes we need to do that, particularly when we've got kids and we're looking after them. But sometimes at some point you've got to just acknowledge to yourself, to someone, that you're finding it hard. There are various practices and meditations that you can do to deal with negative thoughts, so do look those up online if that's something that you'd find helpful. Something that's worked for me in the past is literally picturing that negative thing in my mind and then picture it moving away and just hold that, and that can be quite powerful, and I've used that to be able to reset and pick myself back up for some negative feelings that I'm having. So that's something that we're all going to be dealing with, I think. In general, when you are when we're managing the unexpected, which is what we're doing to say the very least, do cut yourself some slack. You know, we really are all going to find it hard, and just be absolutely honest with yourself about that. Even the most resilient among us are going to find that challenging. I know I'm someone who thrives on routine, on knowing what's happening and being very organised. That's throwing me because I don't know what's happening from day to day. So I'm focusing on getting myself into a set routine, so I do know what's happening when, even just in the comfort of my own home. So whatever works for you in terms of getting yourself getting your groove back, but do be kind to yourself. We're all going to struggle. And now I'd like to end with a couple of more positive things. So another tip is to get creative. That's not something that hugely comes to me naturally. A lot of people will absolutely thrive on this though. A few things I've thought, I've got in anyway some colouring books, you know, those mindful colouring books that you've got. Going to have a lot of those out to just be able to focus on in the evenings. Any crafty things that you can do. Maybe I'll try knitting again, see if I can get someone to help me do that, or use some YouTube tutorials. Try and keep a space each day as well, both a physical and or a psychological space to do something for you each day. Again, with kids that's going to be tricky, but if you can tag team with your partner and just spend even 15 minutes just sitting in the bath, sitting alone, popping out for a walk around the block, just to have some space for you, that's going to be really important. And finally, practice gratitude. I've heard about some people do gratitude journals, things like that. Focus on finding 3 things each day that you're grateful for. Now, when I thought about that, I must admit I thought finding 3 things a day for the duration might be tricky. So I'm going to go for 1. And my 1 thing today is that I'm grateful to be going through this in the age of technology, because I've spent more time talking to friends actually on the phone rather than just texting them than I ever have in the past few days, which has been lovely. Loads of texts as well, lots of staying in touch and checking in with each other, planning Netflix parties, virtual singing, all sorts of things. There's all sorts of things that people have set up. So I'm grateful, since we are in this situation, to be doing it with technology. That's my happy and thankful thought for the day. And that ends what I have to say. I really hope it's something that people have found useful. I'd love to hear feedback from you. Feel free to note something in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube, or get in touch with me if you know me in real life. If this is something people find useful, I'll certainly put out more videos. And for those people that work at the University of Manchester as well, I'm planning to do more webinars and things like that if people want to join in. Thanks for watching and take care. Bye.